Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our press conference. Following the Foreign Affairs Council, the High Representative will brief you now on today's discussion with the ministers, and then we'll move on to your questions. High Representative.
Good afternoon. So very packed day today, so we had a productive meeting, and we have 2 more productive meetings coming up. First, Western Balkans. Western Balkans is a strategic priority for the EU. And this morning we met with our counterparts from the Western Balkans to discuss different issues. Ministers gave a political endorsement to deepen the cooperation with our Western Balkans partners on foreign, security and defense matters. And concretely what it means more EU support against hybrid threats, disinformation, a new security and defense partnership with Montenegro, and also greater use of the European Peace Facility to boost our partners' defense capabilities. But it's clear the partnerships go both ways. In turn, we also expect further reforms, respect for the rule of law, clear alignment with EU foreign policy. The Western Balkans belong to the European Union, and the steps aligned today are geared towards this goal. On Bosnia-Herzegovina, of course, we discussed the announced resignation of the High Representative Christian Schmidt. Ministers agree that it is in the European Union interest not to let the country slip off its European path, and that we have to stick together in finding a successor. On Ukraine, we had a substantive discussion with Foreign Minister Zabiha. Of course, after the 90 billion loan, Moscow's record battlefield losses, Ukraine deep strikes into Russia, and Moscow's shrinking military parade, these all things show that the dynamics of the war are changing. Ukraine is in much better position than a year ago, but of course there is no time for complacency. And today we took several steps. First, ministers adopted a strengthened mandate for the EU advisory mission to Ukraine, and this will allow our mission to step up against hybrid threats and support the reintegration of veterans. Second, we are also advancing our work regarding the EU security guarantees for the time of truce. And this includes strengthening the EU Satellite Centre so it could support the ceasefire monitoring, but also countering sanctions circumvention. And third, we are drawing up sanctions to cut off Kremlin's revenue streams. Ministers also addressed the issue of peace negotiations. In coordination with Ukraine, EU has always supported attempts to achieve a just and lasting peace. For Europe to take a more active role, we must agree amongst ourselves what we want to talk to Russia about and what are our red lines. And the upcoming Gimnich meeting is a good place to do that, to have that discussion. And all these issues are linked to the broader principle, and there can be no just and lasting peace without accountability for Russia. And the EU will formally join the Special Tribunal for the Crime of Aggression this week. And today, ministers gave their green light for the EU to become party to the International Claims Commission. All of the horrors inflicted by Russia's war, the abduction of Ukrainian children, is one of its worst. Stealing children is a calculated Russian attack on Ukraine's future. In response, ministers today adopted 23 new listings targeting those responsible. And after this press conference, I will go host a meeting of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children, where we will discuss also what more can we do. And the aim must be to return every child that has been stolen by Russia. Ministers also discussed Ukraine's accession. Ukraine has made a remarkable reform progress under the most difficult circumstances, and there is now new momentum, and we must use it to advance Ukraine's path into the EU. This means opening all the negotiation clusters before summer. And getting Ukraine into the EU is not charity, it's an investment into our own security. And our message to Putin is clear. Ukraine's European future is more important to us than destruction of Ukraine is to Russia. On the Middle East, ministers agree that we need to strengthen cooperation with the Gulf countries in the wake of the Iran war. We will accelerate our work regarding the strategic partnership agreements with all 6 Gulf the Gulf cooperation countries, and we are ready to front-load our security and defense cooperation. In the Strait of Hormuz, the ceasefire is under heavy strain following Iran's recent strikes in the region. The Iran hardliner grip on the world's most important energy shipping line is untenable. The EU is expanding its Iran sanctions to also include those responsible for obstructing the freedom of navigation. We discussed also strengthening the Operation Aspides, which is a naval mission and which can contribute to the freedom of navigation. And this could also be our contribution to the coalition of the willing by France and UK. And EU can also bring decades of hard-earned experience from nuclear talks with Iran should they resume. In Gaza, humanitarian situation remains dire. Of course, talks have stalled between Israel and Hamas, and Hamas is refusing to give up its weapons, and that increases odds for new war. But we have also seen the surge of settler violence in West Bank. Today, we reached a political agreement to sanction Israeli extremist settlers and entities. This goes together with new sanctions on leading Hamas figures. This means that we move from the political deadlock that was there for a long time. Violence and extremism carry consequences. Also, we had discussions on the trade issues, limiting trade with illegal Israeli settlements. So there was also a call by many member states to take this forward. So we will continue to work with the Commission on presenting proposals. On Syria, ministers decided on the full resumption of the cooperation agreement, which had been partly suspended under Assad regime, and this is an important signal in normalization of the EU-Syria relations. We also agreed to lift the sanctions on Syria's interior and defense ministers. And later today, we will also host a high-level political dialogue with Syria. EU moved fast to support the political transition and reconstruction after the Assad regime fell, and today we are ready to take next steps. At the same time, we expect to see continued progress on inclusive and legitimate political transition by Syrian authorities. We also had Canadian minister with us today. Canada is the most European of all the non-European countries in the world. And amid the chaos in the world, Canada and EU can be stabilizing force for foreign policy and trade. Sorry for being so long, but it was very intense and discussions, a lot of topics, so ready to take your questions.
Yeah. Vitaly, we'll start with you. And please limit your questions because we have another presser right after.
Thank you, Vitaly Sizov, Freedom TV channel. Ukrainian minister and you said before meeting that there is need to strengthen the participation of EU in negotiation. And what's the decision today on this topic? And could you personally participate in this negotiation instead of maybe Gerhard Schröder? Thank you.
First, on the need of participation, as I said, we were discussing that before we talk to the Russians, we should agree and talk to amongst ourselves what we want to talk to the Russians about. And that's why I've presented also a list of requests, concessions that we need to see from the Russian side already some months ago, and we will discuss this in Gimli. On your other question, You know, I was half of my working life, I've been a lawyer, so a partner in a law firm, participating in a lot of negotiations. And the difference between politics and private sector is that in private sector, if you're a good lawyer or negotiator, you don't have to tell yourself because others are telling this. But in politics, you have to, you know, how was it like George W. Bush said that when a politician doesn't toot his own horn, the horn usually remains untooted. So I have to say, I think I could see through the traps that Russia is presenting, but of course, you know, we are not there in entering the negotiations in any way. Right now, we don't see that Russia is really negotiating in good faith at all. And first we have the discussion with the member states, what we want to see, you know, Russia conceding as well.
Tatiana.
Tatiana Vysotska, European Pravda, Ukraine. I've got a question about 21st package of sanctions, but before a small clarification, you said about opening the clusters before summer. Did you mean Ukrainian summer or European summer? Because in Ukraine the summer starts on the 1st of June.
Yeah.
And on clusters, what are you predicting have to be in this new 21st package? What will hit Russia mostly? And would you insist on maritime services ban, which was not included in the 20th package? Thank you.
Thank you. You know, on the summer, actually, in the morning we had the same discussion because there was like, you know, something is supposed to happen before summer. And I said, that's 2 weeks. But actually, apparently, European summer is August. So let's see. But on the 21st package, there's a call for the member states to put forward proposals. So we are targeting the military-industrial complex of Russia, and of course member states can put forward ideas, shadow fleet as well. But as we agreed last time, that we are, you know, putting the sanctions on rolling basis, not gathering, you know, big package together, but just rolling basis when we see that this could actually achieve our goal, which is to deprive Russia of the funding to finance this war.
Mm-hmm. Augustin.
Thank you. Augustin Palokaj from Jutarnji List, Croatia. On the Western Balkans, what was the focus of discussion? Security was mentioned and Russian influence as well. Are all countries of the region really willing to fight this influence? Because we have Serbia that is, apart from refusing to implement sanctions, Serbia is being used by Russia to influence the rest of the region. And additional question on the resignation of Mr. Schmidt. Do you see the possibility for further institutional complications in a country which is even now complicated in the functioning of institutions? And how could you proceed with choosing a successor, knowing that on this you have to discuss also with Russia? Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of questions. So first, yes, we discussed security and defense cooperation because the Western Balkans are also worried about the hybrid attacks that they see, you know, in their societies, and you know, exchange of views of our practices that we have already had with Moldova, that we are now using with Armenia as well, helping them to really be resilient to these attacks. Foreign malign influence is one of the issues. Of course, you know very well that all the Western Balkan countries are different, and they also have a different view. And that is very much reflected in the alignment of common foreign and security policy. For some of the countries, it's 100% aligned, also sanctions, which are hard. For some others, it's much lower. Member states were also expressing that they expect all the countries to move on the European track, to be fully aligned with the common foreign and security policy, because in these geopolitical times that we are living, it's not a box-ticking exercise, but it's actually showing whether you see the world in a similar way. And on Christian Smith, of course, the question is maybe a bit rhetorical question, but can it, the operation functioning of this country, can it get more complicated? But I think it actually can. So that's why we were discussing how we are supporting that the new High Representative is appointed by the Peace Implementation Commission that is supposed to take place, I think, in June. But this is the format that Europe is supporting.
Mm-hmm. Olivier.
Thank you, Olivier Beau from AFP. Just a quick follow-up on in Ukraine, if I may. Putin suggested that for the first time that the war could be coming to an end. Do you think he has finally understood that Russia cannot outlast Ukraine and that he is ready to negotiate in earnest? And second question on the Middle East, on Israel. Sorry. You've just announced some sanctions against settlers, but for many member states it's not enough, and they want the EU to go further, especially on trade from the settlements, and some of them ask for a proposal from the Commission. Why don't we see this proposal on the table at the FAC? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we were analyzing also what do these messages by Putin mean, because it's different than he has said before. And I think the overall understanding is that Putin is in a weaker position than he has ever been before. We see they are losing on the battlefield a lot of lives. There is growing discontent in the Russian society. That's why they are also turning off the internet, that people couldn't access the actual news. That's why also the deep strikes that Ukraine has made have made really an impact. The support for Putin's war is going down. We see also, influencers expressing this more. So I think it all shows that actually really Putin is not standing that strong. And that's why, but we are not in the point where actually they would genuinely negotiate, because they are still presenting maximum claims. And that's why we need to continue with our work. On your second question, yes, it is true that many member states want more. There are also many member states who don't want more. So this is where we are. But I'm happy that we were able to put sanctions on the violent settlers and agree on that today, because it has been on the table for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Last short question, Magnus. Or Rosie? Hmm? Rosie.
No, where is it?
The lady next to you, sorry.
The lady here?
In white, yeah.
Oh.
So, thank you. I just have a very quick follow-up on Olivier, because he did mention that some states were expecting a proposal today. And if I recall correctly, at the last FAC, you said you would carry the French-Swedish proposal to your colleague at the Commission and come back with a proposal. So why did Friday, you mentioned this morning, your desk step on that Friday you discussed some possible measures with EU ambassadors, but there was no qualified majority. But why wait until Friday? And why not come today with a proposal?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, maybe you don't know, because it's logical that High Representative should also deal with trade, but it's not my portfolio. So It is Commission's initiative, and every commissioner has their portfolio. Immediately after the last FAC, we also had the Commission. I raised this issue that member states want this proposal. I asked this, but the proposal is not there, and I can't draft it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This concludes our presser. Please stay here because we'll be back in 5 minutes.